Night had thickened over St. Mercy Hospital, shrouding corridors in shadows that seemed almost alive. Machines hummed with a steady, deceptive calm, yet within room 308, tension pulsed like electricity. Elena lay immobilized, her body a prison, but her mind, sharp, focused, unstoppable, was plotting with precision. Sofia Malik hovered near the bedside, clipboard and tablet in hand, eyes scanning Elena's subtle movements. Every twitch, every blink, every micro-expression became a thread of communication, a piece of a puzzle that would expose Dr. Arman's meticulous deception. "You're stronger than they think," Sofia whispered, leaning close. Her breath was calm, but her heart raced. "We've got him on the ropes, one slip, one crack, and everything changes." Elena blinked twice. That was all she needed to say. "I understand, I'm ready." Meanwhile, Dr. Arman moved through the ward, his presence calculated, controlled, predatory. He checked charts, adjusted IVs, and surveyed monitors with an intensity that could unsettle even the most confident staff. Yet tonight, something felt different. Something was off in the rhythm of his patients. He paused outside room 308, sensing, without knowing precisely, that the balance of control was shifting. He scanned the room. Elena lay still, seemingly compliant, yet the faint twitch in her fingers betrayed awareness. Inside the room, Elena's mind raced. She recalled every injection, every subtle delay, every small hesitation Dr. Arman had made during Margaret's final moments. She traced patterns, memorized rhythms, and strategized. Each detail became a weapon. Sofia's eyes were sharp. She had noticed discrepancies in recent medication logs, unusual late-night entries, and inconsistencies between the surveillance footage and the doctor's claimed routines. Every observation she made brought clarity, reinforcing a truth she had suspected for weeks. The predator was not infallible. As the night deepened, Elena focused her consciousness on small movements, creating signals that only Sofia could interpret. Each blink, each twitch, each subtle nod was part of a silent rebellion. They were writing their own language of defiance, invisible to the hospital staff and, most importantly, to Dr. Arman. But the predator was not blind. Dr. Arman sensed the shift, a slight change in Elena's posture, a delayed compliance, the subtle tension in Sofia's gestures. He narrowed his eyes. He was used to controlling situations, bending wills, manipulating outcomes, but something about tonight was different. Outside the room, Evelyn Whitmore's investigation continued to bear fruit. Her private team had traced shadowy financial transfers, unusual medical purchases, and documents linking Dr. Arman directly to Margaret's fatal injections. Every piece of evidence amplified the danger he posed, not just to patients but to justice itself. Inside room 308, Elena's mind was a chessboard. She visualized every potential move, every contingency. One wrong signal could expose them too early, alerting Dr. Arman. One perfectly timed blink could shift the entire balance of power. Sofia whispered again, barely audible, "We're close." Just a little longer. Hours passed like slow-burning fire. Machines beeped softly, doors opened and closed. Footsteps echoed in distant hallways. Every second heightened the suspense. Then a breakthrough. A vial, misplaced in a routine inspection, revealed an unusual label and a faint residue of a sedative that didn't belong. Sofia noted it immediately. The angle of the vial, the slight smudge of fingerprints, it all pointed to Dr. Arman's carefully hidden pattern of manipulation. Elena blinked once. A signal, confirmation they had something concrete now. The predator's illusion of control was fraying. The silent rebellion had begun in earnest, and beyond the hospital walls the storm was growing. Every financial trace, every medical irregularity, every careful observation was forming a net that would tighten around Dr. Arman with ruthless precision. The final thought before fade. Even the most untouchable predator cannot withstand the calculated patience of a mind that refuses to be silenced. When the hunter becomes aware of the trap, the prey no longer waits, it strikes. The night felt alive with quiet menace. St. Mercy Hospital's corridors, usually mundane in their hum of activity, now seemed like tunnels leading into a carefully orchestrated game. Elena lay paralyzed, yet her mind was sharp, racing through every detail she had memorized over weeks of observation. Every movement of Dr. Arman, every shift in staff routine, every subtle hesitation, all cataloged and analyzed. Sofia Malik positioned herself strategically, pretending to check charts while her eyes never left Alina. The tiny blinks, subtle finger twitches, and controlled breathing formed their language of resistance. Tonight, their silent war would escalate into action. Dr. Arman entered Alina's room, mask of calm intact, but his eyes sharper, more calculating than usual. He had sensed the subtle defiance, the energy that refused to comply. His hand moved toward the syringe, the object of so many lives' silent battles. "You're awake again," he murmured, voice smooth, almost soothing. "We need cooperation for proper recovery." Alina's gaze was steady. Every calculated blink and twitch sent a clear message to Sofia: not now, wait for the moment. Minutes stretched. The air thickened. Dr. Arman adjusted the IV, checking vitals with meticulous attention, unaware that every motion he executed was being memorized and logged for future leverage. Sofia, clipboard in hand, whispered softly, "This is it. Pay attention, timing is everything." The first confrontation required patience. One wrong signal and the predator would regain control, erasing weeks of careful observation. Alina held her breath figuratively, if not literally, and focused on every minute detail: the angle of the syringe, the weight of his step, the slight hesitation before he spoke. Then it happened. A miscalculation. Dr. Arman's hand lingered too long on the syringe. His attention split between Alina and an incoming nurse in the hallway. That half-second was enough. Sofia noticed a faint fingerprint smudge on the vial, evidence of improper handling. "Got it," Sofia whispered under her breath. Alina blinked once, a micro-signal confirming, "Yes, we have him." The predator's mask of control began to crack. His confidence faltered imperceptibly, just enough for Alina and Sofia to sense. Every twitch, every glance, every subtle shift of balance in the room now carried meaning. Meanwhile, Evelyn Whitmore's private investigation yielded another breakthrough. Emails, bank transfers, and medical procurement records aligned, showing the financial and premeditated motive behind Margaret's death. She began preparing her evidence dossier, readying to strike legally. Back in room 308, Alina continued to communicate through minute gestures, directing Sofia to notice irregularities in Dr. Arman's routine. The syringe, the logs, the minor deviation in medication timing, it all formed a pattern. The predator realized something. The patient he assumed paralyzed and passive was active in ways he could not fully comprehend. Alina's mind had become a weapon, precise and unstoppable. Dr. Arman stepped back, tension in his eyes. The calm demeanor was strained. He glanced at Sofia, suspecting but unable to confirm their alliance. The first confrontation ended silently, but the battle lines were drawn. Alina and Sofia had proven one critical fact: the predator could be challenged. His control was no longer absolute. As the night deepened, the corridors remained quiet, almost waiting for the next move. Every sound, the distant beep of a monitor, the soft shuffle of footsteps, seemed amplified. The first strike had been made. The predator had sensed resistance. The prey had awakened. The final thought before fade: even the cleverest hunter falters when the prey masters patience, observation, and precision. The real game begins when the silent witnesses no longer wait, they act. The night air in St. Mercy Hospital carried a weight that made every step echo, every shadow linger longer than usual. Alina lay in her bed still, a body trapped but a mind unleashed, acutely aware of every heartbeat, every movement, every subtle flicker of the fluorescent lights above. Sofia Malik stood by her side, clipboard and tablet ready. Her eyes scanned Alina's subtle signals, tiny twitches of fingers, slight eyelid movements, and controlled breaths. These silent codes were their language now, a strategy in motion. Dr. Arman entered the room, confident as ever, though tension tugged at the corners of his mask. He had sensed the resistance, felt the subtle defiance emanating from a body he believed immobile. The predator realized the prey was awake and now aware. "You're restless again," he said smoothly, checking charts, adjusting IVs. "It's important to stay calm. Sleep is necessary for recovery." Alina blinked twice. A micro-signal to Sofia: "We see you, we're ready." Dr. Arman's calculated steps began to falter. Small mistakes, almost imperceptible to the untrained eye, emerged. A slight tremor in his hands, a delayed injection, a misaligned log entry. The predator who had manipulated so many now faced the uncertainty of exposure. Sofia whispered, "We're close." The first real strike comes tonight. Minutes became hours. Alina focused on memorizing every detail, the angle of syringes, the sequence of vitals checks, the faint smudges of fingerprints left behind. Each tiny deviation was ammunition, and each twitch, a signal that the prey was ready to act. Outside the room, Evelyn Whitmore's investigation had hit a milestone. Evidence was compiled. Financial transfers, suspicious purchases, email trails, and medical anomalies, each piece a nail in the coffin of Dr. Arman's perfect facade. Margaret's death, manipulated for control and inheritance, was now tangible in the hands of justice. Back in room 308, tension reached a crescendo. Dr. Arman's control over the environment was slipping. He glanced at Sofia, suspecting collaboration yet unable to pinpoint the exact threat. Sofia shifted subtly, drawing Alina's attention to a misplaced vial on the tray. It was the clue they needed, a vial with traces of an unusual sedative, fingerprints partially smeared, the angle of placement wrong. Alina blinked once. "We have it." Dr. Arman noticed the movement, suspicion flaring in his eyes. He leaned closer to Alina, but the calm he projected was cracking. His mind raced, trying to recalculate the balance of control he had once held effortlessly. "This is getting complicated," he muttered under his breath, yet loud enough for Sofia to hear. The predator was cornered. For the first time, his actions were hesitant, his mastery of the environment questioned by a paralyzed woman and a determined nurse. Every micro-observation, every small detail had become a weapon. The prey, though seemingly weak, held the power to unravel the predator's world. Then, the critical moment. Dr. Arman attempted to inject Alina with a standard sedative, believing it routine. Sofia's vigilance intercepted, her finger hovering over the vial, ready to expose every trace of malpractice. The silent rebellion had escalated. The predator's perfection had cracks, and the prey was exploiting them with ruthless precision. The final thought before fade: even the most untouchable predator becomes vulnerable when the prey observes, records, and waits for the perfect moment to strike. When exposure becomes inevitable, the hunter must face the consequences or be undone. The hospital was silent in a way that made every sound thunder. Fluorescent lights flickered faintly, casting long shadows that danced across the walls of room 308. Alina lay paralyzed, yet her mind was alive, alert, and sharper than ever. She could feel the predator's anxiety, subtle but unmistakable, creeping into the sterile air. Sofia Malik stood beside her, calm but tense. Clipboard and tablet in hand, she carefully reviewed every note, every observation, every discrepancy. Her eyes scanned Alina's subtle twitches and blinks, signals that now carried the weight of strategy and resistance. Dr. Arman entered, mask of professionalism perfectly in place, yet a faint tremor betrayed his calm. His calculated gaze swept the room, assessing, probing, sensing that something had shifted. "You've been unusually alert tonight," he said softly, almost conversationally, adjusting Alina's IV. "Rest is critical, we don't want complications." Alina's eyes followed his every move, blinking twice, a microsignal to Sofia confirming understanding and readiness. Sofia leaned in, whispering, "This is it. We have him on the ropes. The evidence, the observation, it all converges tonight." Dr. Arman, unaware of the extent of their preparedness, reached for a vial of sedative. He thought it routine, standard, untraceable. But Sofia's vigilance intercepted the motion, her eyes noting a subtle discrepancy in labeling and handling. Minutes passed. Tension grew palpable, heavy like a storm about to break. Alina's mind catalogued every detail: the angle of the syringe, the timing, the slight hesitation of the doctor. Each observation was now proof, ammunition, and leverage all at once. Meanwhile, Evelyn Whitmore's private investigation team had traced financial transfers, irregular medical purchases, and communications connecting Dr. Arman to Margaret's fatal injection. Every shred of evidence converged, painting a clear picture of premeditation and motive. Inside room 308, the first major revelation occurred. Sofia pointed discreetly to a vial smudge, a deviation from protocol, a trace of the sedative that had endangered Margaret. Alina blinked once, confirmation: they had the proof they needed. Dr. Arman sensed the shift. His predator's instincts recognized that his perfect control was unraveling. For the first time, he hesitated, uncertainty creeping into the spaces he had always dominated. Sofia recorded every detail meticulously. Fingerprints, vial placement, timing irregularities all documented for exposure. The predator was cornered and the prey's patience was now a weapon. Alina's mind was relentless. Every past injury, every injustice, every manipulation she had observed became a piece of the puzzle. She could see the patterns, anticipate the moves, and prepare for the moment of confrontation. The hospital's night watch passed by unnoticed, oblivious to the silent battle unfolding within room 308. Every tick of the clock amplified the tension. Every shadow, every hum, every distant beep became part of the orchestration of justice. Dr. Arman's facade of control was cracking. His calm demeanor faltered as subtle inconsistencies, meticulously documented by Sofia and Alina, began to expose the truth. The silent rebellion had achieved its first major victory. The evidence was now concrete, undeniable, and in their possession. The predator's perfect plan had been infiltrated by awareness, patience, and precision. The final thought before fade. Even the most untouchable predator cannot survive when the prey observes, remembers, and acts with unyielding precision. When the truth is revealed, the game changes forever, and no one walks away unchanged.